Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. How you doing, brother?
Doing very well. Yeah. Amelia's mum's here. And you know what? She's so great, right? We've been working out on a morning. Obviously I work out anyway, but I shifted the time. And on Monday, we go into the room where she's staying. And Amelia gets her up and she's like, Mum's like, what time is it? And Amelia's like, it's boot camp time. And Mum's like, what? What's that? So she comes into the gym and she does a full workout with us. I mean, we obviously tailored it for her and she did yoga in the beginning to warm up and did some bodyweight stuff. But man, she had some serious DOMs yesterday. You know what it's like, right? It's hilarious. Worked out yesterday, worked out today. I'm like, wow, just been eating the food we've been giving her. It's like she's on a health retreat when she comes here. She loses weight just from the food. Now she's got the boot camp, and she goes on walks, like takes off with Amelia, goes either into the mountains or the beach or wherever. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun having her here.
Oh, that's awesome.
She goes back on Friday.
Which today, as we're recording this, is a Wednesday for everybody else. It's Wednesday, late afternoon for you, early morning for me. So only a couple more days, day and a half for you.
The other win, you sent me a message of the week saying how many pull-ups can you do? I am back to my weighted pull-ups.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing the video proof of that. As we always talk trash.
Come on.
The men in the Brotherhood are on an awesome challenge. They're doing something called the Baseline Challenge that we put out. And it's 90 days, just to give the guys listening that aren't involved. It's 90 days. And we have two winners, right? Or two winners in each category. We have the strict guidelines, which means no cheating, no exchanging exercises, etc. So we have the man who's got the best time for the exercises, a group of exercises they have to do. And then the most improved, right? So they have to submit a video for proof, et cetera. Because not everybody does reps fully. You and I know you tell someone to do a squat and they go down like 3 inches and they're like, it's good because their legs are tight or whatever it is. So we got that. Then we also have the best time for modified exercises, which they have to get approved by me, and the most improved modified. Because, if you tell some guy to do pull-ups and he says, well, I'm going to modify pull-ups and I'm going to do, a 20-meter sprint. You're like, no, it's not the same.
Yeah.
The banded pull-ups, et cetera. We can add some of these things with the asterisk in them. So it's really cool. And some of these guys, the videos they're posting is amazing, right? Some guys are deconditioned, but they're going after it, right? And they get 90 days to improve, right? You clean up your diet, you work on recovery, you work on the exercises and the modalities we've given them, and you're going to see some major improvements. And some of these guys are just studs, right? All of a sudden you're seeing these guys who they're all business owners, right? They're all married with kids. And then they walk into a room or their garage and it's a full gym. And, they got a rowing machine, they got the squat rack, and they're ready to rock. And they're like, let's go. And you could tell they got their game face on. Such a great community, loving encouragement with a little bit of trash talking. And that's what I like.
So do you know what as well? They all act like they're not competitive. And then you put them in that environment and it's like, right. It's so funny. How have you been anyway?
I've been good, man. Good. Got family in town, which is great. My wife's family, but also where, as you know, I've got this, it's roughly 1,300 square feet. And I think I changed the number almost. It's somewhere between 13 and 1,400 square feet. It's my man cave. It's kind of half below ground, half up above ground. And started doing with some friends, did the flooring and was doing stuff by myself. And we put in a new wall because we're actually building a whole nother room out of here. And I put up basically put up the wall itself and was getting ready to do the drywall and things like that. And drywall is really difficult to do well. Easy to do. Okay. Really tough to do well. And people construction always talk about it. Like a great drywall guy is really hard to find. So today, instead of doing it myself, which never seems to work out nearly as well, right? It's always not quite as good for, a lot of the guys. We have a lot of construction guys who own big construction companies here. For them, maybe it's easier. But drywall is one of those things with the nuances, right? If you don't get it right and you walk up to the wall, you can just see it was done by somebody like myself. The tape is showing, right? The corners aren't quite done right. And it got me, so anyway, the drywall guy is coming today and he'll be working on that. In fact, he's coming in a little bit. And it got me into thinking, which was kind of interesting, is, I was talking to one of our advisors and he had mentioned, hey, got off a phone with a guy, his marriage is crumbling, 4 kids, Tim, marriage is crumbling. And the guy said at the end of it, look, I don't know if I want to invest the time into doing this. I get so much from the podcast. I'm just going to do it myself. I thought that's just like me trying to do drywall myself.
Yeah. I had that we get that quite a lot,
That's great.
I say quite a lot, which is great because the podcast is, so well listened to, and thank you guys. But yeah, I mean, it's not the finished article, right?
Well, so let's look at this, right? And I was talking to my neighbor about the other day. My neighbor's a retired FBI agent, brilliant guy, and he's got some great stories. And I was mentioning something about actually the drywall because we're looking for a recommendation. We're new to the area, and he said, "Look, same thing. Drywall is something that a lot of people think they can do on their own, but once you really doing it well and doing it, if you really want it, then you want to hire somebody, a professional, to actually help you with the drywall because it's night and day difference. And you've seen bad drywall. I have because I've done drywall myself before with people who are good at it, and even with their help, it was really hard to do. You need an expert. And the guy said, look, he's like, the classic line, what's your time worth? He's like, Doug, I'm going to guess you're making over $250 an hour, right? For what you're doing. You hire the drywall guy for $50, $75, $100 an hour. He's like, that's a no brainer, right? It's a no brainer. Yeah. Could you try to do it yourself? Sure. Right. You could. Are you going to get great results? Probably not, but maybe. Let's just say maybe, Doug, you can, right? Maybe you can maybe you're really good, or you get lucky, or, you watch enough YouTube videos on how to drywall and get the edging and all these things and round the corners just perfectly. So you're happy with it. But he said, remember, you're going to be seeing this wall every day, maybe for years. And when you sell the house, everybody's going to be looking at that drywall to see how it was done. And it reminded me of people's marriages, right? I tried to do it myself, Tim. I was definitely that guy. And it was the ironic part is I didn't want to spend the money and I didn't want to spend the time, right? And I look back at it, I had the money. That wasn't an issue, right? I made excuses of not having the money, but the truth is I had it, right? I could have, put it somewhere else. And if I got divorced, I would have lost a lot more money going through there. The time was my biggest excuse, right? My limiting belief. And I was listening to podcasts, reading every book I get my hands on, but it never quite got me there. And it reminds me of like doing my own drywall. Yeah, I can watch YouTube videos, and I did, preparing for this, and I can do it. But if it doesn't work, what's that cost me, right? If I don't do the drywall right, correctly, now I've lost the material, right? More importantly, I've lost the time, the opportunity cost, right? The idea of doing it myself is kind of manly, and I like that. But if I don't do it right, someone's got to come in, tear it all down, right? It's just like going through a divorce, right? If you don't do it right, you're going to get divorced. You're tearing it all down. And then someone's got to come in, which is going to be the other man, and they're going to build it back up, and they're going to do it right. Or I can work with a professional and have them come in and make sure it gets done right the first time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. Drywall, you can tear it down, do it a second time, do it a third time, maybe even a fourth time if you need to, maybe because you enjoy the process of doing it yourself. Can't do that with your marriage. You don't get a second run through. Usually by the time it gets to the point where maybe marriage counseling is on the cards, or maybe there's talk of separation, or maybe there is a separation, or the guys are reaching out to us. Usually by that point, the woman is so far out of the door, and the guy doesn't even realize it, right? Because the guy is so focused on work that he thinks this is the first warning shot that's getting fired. He thinks it's the first, but in her eyes, it's like the last, right? So you don't have the luxury of going at it a second time, a third time, because the thing is as well, for the guys that go at it the second time, so let's say the warning shots are fired, right? The woman is making subtle suggestions about, hey, I want to spend more time with you. Hey, what about if we actually just did this weekend instead of doing that? No, I've got to work. The woman's going to be subtle about it. And then maybe arguments stop and the guy thinks, oh, this is great, but really it's bad because, she started to check out a bit, right? So then, by the time it gets to the point of, okay, fine, I'm going to make a change, she doesn't trust it either sometimes. If it's too late and if it's the third time of putting up the wall, second time of putting up the wall. Whereas if, like you, Doug, you assess a situation and you realize, could I do that drywall? Do you know what? I could probably put a wall up, but it's not going to really be the real deal. It's not going to be the real fix. So do you know what? I'm going to bring in somebody to do it right because I've got one shot at this. Even though you don't have one shot at this, but a lot of guys do, right? Somebody said something to me on a call recently. It was brilliant. He said, Tim, do you know what? It's a no-brainer for me to do this. And do you know why? Why does Tiger Woods still have a swing coach? If the best in the world still has a swing coach, and Tim, look at a tennis player. Look at anyone. They've all got coaches, even though they've got all those achievements behind them. If they're still doing it, I think they know something that I don't. So I'm going to hire the best that I know of to help me.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly why we rolled out the one-on-one coaching, that opportunity for guys going through as well. Because we've had some guys that are looking for, they want the best. They want the full treatment and everything else going into it. And, and I think it's important because I don't want this to sound like a pitch fest at all, because that's not the intent of this. It really just got me thinking about the drywall, right? Guys, you don't have to hire us as your drywall experts, to use that analogy, but get someone who's got a proven track record. So the guy coming in now, so we had recommendations, right? So I jump on his website as you do, right? And you look at it, and this guy was smart enough to have a few testimonials on there, right? Okay, cool. This has worked for guys like me, so to speak. This is done, right? Because people don't jump on and give a drywall guy a testimonial if it was a shitty job. And it's the same thing for the work we do. Or the work anybody else does. There's other people out there doing good men's work out there. We believe that what we're doing is the best, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. And that's just the way it is. There's other opportunities out there. But it's really gets me is that whole DIY approach. And I used to be stuck in this mindset, and the mindset for me, at least, came from this idea of pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, right? And growing up as a kid, my parents split when I think officially got divorced when I was 5, but we kind of joke that my mom won't buy anything that's not on sale. Right. And I come from an upper middle class family. My dad only buys the best. Right. So we have that kind of mindset of, okay, drywall, I can do it. Right. I got a couple of buddies. I can crack a couple of beers or something. We can do the drywall. Not a problem. I've had offers from friends to do it, but I'm going to be looking at this drywall every single day, right? It's down here. It's in my man cave. I'm here a lot, relaxing, what have you, entertaining people. I'm going to notice it. And then when I go to sell this place, assuming I sell this house at some point, right? The other people are going to look at the drywall and they're going to be like, this is a shitty job. Why not just get it done right the first time? Right. And the thing that's, I think a lot of us miss, and I used to miss when I used to do all these DIY projects myself, not the DIY projects that I just enjoy doing, but ones that you kind of have to do, right? The ones that you just need to get done. What I think I missed when I was in my 20s, and I'm in my 40s now, was the opportunity cost. I knew opportunity cost, and everybody tosses it around, but what else could I be doing besides watching YouTube videos on drywall? What else could I be doing besides actually hanging drywall, mudding it, doing it properly, making sure I sand it well, rounding the edges, and then cleaning up that crap? I've done drywall. Cleaning up is a pain in the ass. Right? I could be playing with my kids. I could be making love to my wife. I could be reading a book outside. It's beautiful weather right now. I could be working and generating more cash and revenue. I could be doing things faster that I enjoy. And the idea of these guys in the relationship, and I get it, and I was there, you could actually be repaired. You could have your relationship repaired. And not just repaired, but doing well, where your wife's looking at you with admiration. She's looking at you with love and respect again. You can have that quicker. And the DIY approach, I don't know, this guy's coming today. He's going to be working on, I think he's going to do 2 days to finish the wall, is what he's quoting for us. 2 days. Dude, this has been up there for a month or two, right? That I was going to do my own, right? We had all these things. We're going to do pallet walls. We're going to do drywall, et cetera. 2 months. Can I do it myself? It's dragging on, Tim, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe I would have got to the drywall another month or two from now because other things come up. It's the same thing with your marriage. It's the same thing with investing in yourself.
Yeah. And just going back to the original thing with this podcast as well, something happens, right, when you have skin in the game. This podcast, great, guys, keep listening to it. I don't want it to deter you from the podcast. Keep watching it, keep listening to it. We love doing this for you guys. And there's a shift that happens I'll speak for myself. There's a shift that happens in me and us, Doug, when we invest, that once we put money down and we have skin in the game, we prioritize that thing in our life and we value its place, right? And let's say it is some consulting, right? Let's say we hire somebody. When we pay, we invest, we then pay attention. And that sounds cliche, but we do, right? 100%. Whereas if we're just listening to their podcast, let's say, they might share some really great things. We might say, hey, that's a good idea. What if we try that? But we don't ever really get around to prioritizing it because inevitably we also hit hurdles in implementing it, right? Because we cannot see our own blind spots. We don't know the context with which that consultant is giving us that advice, right? And also the context within our current predicament, right? So inevitably we take the advice, we might hit a few snags, or we might decide, we'll just wait, and we'll put it off maybe. But if we hire that guy and go direct to the source, the shift happens much faster. And I think something that you and I are constantly in the conversation of is not doing it ourselves, because we have to remind ourselves to not do it ourselves, because for a long time we would do that, right? And I think that's similar to a lot of the guys as well. You spoke about what else you could be doing with that time. Honestly, I think so many guys have got used to sacrificing themselves and struggling that it's just the norm. They've got so used to struggling and working long hours. Even if they're making great money, they still feel like they are kind of empty to a degree because they're not working out usually. They're not really taking time out for themselves to do anything they really enjoy. Usually they don't even know what they enjoy doing anymore. And they're just used to being in that emotional state. And to then go and struggle by trying to do it yourself with the drywall or the marriage, it's just kind of where they've been. And they don't really know what they don't know to a degree either. And one other thing, finally, they also get kind of embarrassed and ashamed. They don't know how to figure it out, Hence why they keep quiet and tend to try and, in my opinion anyway, do it themselves.
Yeah, and I totally get that, right? Like when I was going through the hard times in my marriage, I didn't want anybody to know. Nobody to know, right? Not a coach, not a friend, not my wife, like nobody. I felt like I should be able to do this on my own. So I get it. I didn't know so many guys when they talk to the advisors or get on a phone with you to chat, and they only talk to you when they get, have extra questions after they talk to an advisor. Getting on a phone call, guys, just so you know, it's not a sales call, right? The advisors are graduates of the program, and they're just like, hey, maybe this is a good fit. Let me see if I can give you some breakthroughs and send you on your way. If it's a good fit, then they push you through or give you the opportunity to get on a call to talk to somebody about joining the program. But the first call isn't about that at all. So point being is what I didn't know, Tim, because I'm not on any of these calls, is I didn't know a lot of guys were saying this. And as I'm listening to you, thinking about all these men that are out there thinking they can do it by themselves in this podcast, I'm feeling a little guilty, right? Because this is our basic program, the activation method. It's an 8-week program that's proven, right? Could you imagine consolidating, which I'd never thought of, 8 weeks into 30-minute podcasts, right? And now these podcasts we do, they're all over the place, guys, right? There's not a continuum that takes you from point A to point Z on the map. The program is, and it's crazy to me. It's almost like getting instructions on building a house. We always use that house analogy because it's one everybody can kind of get. But imagine you get the instructions and you start building. As you're building, you're like, okay, cool. I got the fireplace put together. All right, great. Okay, next week they're going to give you another instruction, right, on the podcast that you're listening to. And now they're going to tell you how to do the door trim. Great. Got the door trim. Awesome. Right. And then the next week they tell you how to do the foundation. You're like, oh, if you don't know that there was actually an order, the foundation should have been done first. Right. And the plumbing should have been thought about, right? The electrical, where that's going to go, all of these things. There's an order to building a house. And if you don't do it in the right order, you're not going to get a good result. You're just not. It's the same thing with the program. This podcast was never designed, or this show, if you're watching on YouTube as well, was never designed to take a man from a systematic approach to saving their marriage, right? We have all kinds of other topics we talk about: health, wellness, going into business as well. So guys, if anybody expected this to be a systematic approach to this show, my apologies for you having that expectation or thinking that, because it was never the intent, right? The program is the program. That's what's designed to take you from point A to point Z. That's what's designed to make sure the architecture of your house and your foundation is solid and everything is put together in place on the right times to get you what you want. We're here to give you insights, and Tim and I come onto the show and we just share our ideas and things that we see going through there, and we're glad and we hope this brings value to people. That's the intent, right? Is to bring value, but in no means was this ever intended to be a systematic approach. Yeah, otherwise we wouldn't have so many shows. I think going through there, if you look back in the archives. So when I look at this, Tim, this is again, what made me think about this was, again, looking at this wall that's over here to my left as I'm speaking to you guys, and the frame is up, but there's no drywall, right? So thinking that I can do that myself and spend those weeks and days just doesn't work, right?
And look, you'll be able to build a wall, but it might not be the best drywall, even a great drywall. And I think for some of these guys, the guys that listen to the podcast and choose to go on their own, awesome. And the reason why they choose to go on their own is because they see a little shift, right? They're using the hidden motives. Things are different there. Using the Alpha Rise and Shine. Okay. But guys, I think some guys, and I was guilty of this, you don't know how great it can actually be. When you go from terrible to neutral seems so much better than neutral. But you can go from terrible to neutral to great. And I think for some of the guys, they kind of settle. And, this isn't anything against anyone. They just settle with neutral because, like I said, neutral is so much better than it was. But guys, it can be so great. We have guys that literally go from arguing 3 times a week to having sex 2 or 3 times a week. Literally. And these guys, they're not counting how many times they have sex, not on the bedpost. But we see it, we see it day in, day out with the men. And just imagine what else that opens you up to in your life, guys. Because just like business can become tough when things at home aren't going well, just imagine what's possible on the reverse of that. And things are going well at home and you are having you shift from arguments to sex. Just imagine what that does in your energy, how you want to work out, how you want to lead in business, how you feel as a man, just all sorts. So anyway, Doug, to you, Gyro, I think it's a smart move to bring somebody in. He can use that time a lot better, as you know, and the end product is not only going to be done faster, I think it's going to be one that you'll be a lot happier with too.
I agree. So, gentlemen, that's a wrap for us here at the Powerful Man Show. As always, go over to thepowerfulman.com/bonus. That's thepowerfulman.com/bonus. We're changing out that bonus every single month. So you should get a new bonus there. And of course, if you're late, you're going to miss out on the one doing it, right? The one that is actually up. So we want to make sure you guys get something new each and every month going through there. And if you've been with us for some time, greatly appreciate Tim and I both would take it as a personal favor if you could leave us an authentic review over wherever you're finding this, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you're finding this, Facebook. I think the team puts this out in a variety of places. And guys, we always love the comments that we get from you guys. Tim and I love doing this. And if there's something specific you'd like us to talk about, please let us know as well. All right, guys, have an amazing week. As always, if you get an insight, take massive action.